Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Amogbe. On the show today, we'll be talking about the FIFA World Cup. Of course, it's just 7 days, 1 week from now. But next Sunday, the FIFA World Cup will start. Also on the program, we'll talk about combat sports. UFC 281 will get our attention on the program. Of course, Adesanya earlier as of this morning. I lost me, all the Nigerian guys in combat sport just losing. All right, Super Eagles squad that will be playing against Portugal will also get our attention this afternoon. And also, we'll touch down on the CAF Women's Champions League, where Bayelsa Queens, of course, went there and, of course, coming back home with at least a medal. They finished third in that competition. Also, of course, we will give you the team that's actually topping the table right now going into Christmas. And you know the team already. So we'll talk about that special team and what they've been doing so far this season. We'll see, going into Christmas, they're top of the table. Can they maintain that when the season ends in May? We'll find out about that in May, because you have to wait for a very long time. It's a marathon, not even a sprint. That's what the English Premier League is all about. Well, I'm not alone on the program, especially here in Lagos studio. Agbalaho Theophilus is actually right here with me. And you also have Jala. He's also here. Akpayemi is also here. I was going to mention the under 17 player. Come on, you want to confuse me the other time. Akpayemi Jala is right here in the studio, and Theophilus Agbola is also here.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, Cecilia. She said,
thanks for having me. That is Akpayemi Ajakai.
Ajakai was right here.
So this is Akpayemi Ajakai.
Usually when you mention Ajakai, okay.
That is fair.
Yeah, nice to have you guys. Ken Chonongas, of course, will be joining us from London on the program. Ken, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys.
Great to have you join us again.
You guys are having fun in the studio. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days to Christmas. Theophilus is there.
Here we go.
He's going to sing this song for us today. We have no choice.
Ken, I lost my voice.
Okay. So he's gonna sing the World Cup version, right? That's what he will be singing for us on the program.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Let's get started with this one. Yes, we know it's not good news, but then Israel Adesanya, it's just like what happened to Kamaru Usman. When you thought he has already gotten it, somehow it happened. The 5th round. Okay, there was a knockout. His nemesis, you know him. I mean, when it comes to Pereira, the Brazilian, he is a good fighter, but then being able to pull off that incredible comeback in that 5th round knockout to claim the middleweight title at the Madison Square. I mean, he was dethroned, and look, I said, well, he was cruising to victory, and you think, okay, he was going to get this, but somehow that middleweight division has a new king right now, Alex Pereira. Devastating fashion. Devastating for me also, because Adesanya controlled the proceedings all through. Yeah. But then his old kickboxing rival got the upper hand.
This things do happen. I always refer to what Leonard Lewis would call the lucky punch. When, against all odds here in South Africa, actually a man from nowhere, a fight Lewis was definitely controlling on his cruising to victory, and that punch came from nowhere. And as Muhammad Ali will tell you that he felt his ancestors in Africa in their grave, they felt that punch. So I think that was the same thing that happened to Adesanya in the home of fight, that is Las Vegas. So it's you look back, you take stock, and you look forward, and you move on. So I think the only thing for him, there is no point lamenting over this loss. It has happened. It has happened. This is not the ice-breaking loss for him. He moved above his weight. He suffered his first loss, and now in his natural habitat is having this loss. So the thing is, he has to take stock and move forward. Ali became the greatest not because he was undefeated, but because he came back 3 times. Yeah. Rocky Marciano was undefeated, but today, people remembered Ali more than Rocky Marciano. So it's not about him losing, but the lesson from that defeat.
Yeah, a big lesson.
I saw the fight, and like you said, he controlled proceedings for the bulk of the entire fight. But there's something about when you're fighting your nemesis. I think to a large extent, probably got into his head towards the end of the whole thing, and then that knockdown, nobody saw it coming. But we talked about this multiple times. In combat sport, the soccer punch, you don't even know when you don't know when it's coming, and then he hits him and he hit him hard, and of course he wasn't able to recover from it. He put Pereira down a couple of times. A couple of times. You know, at the point, I felt okay. He was basically coasting home. But like what happened to Kamaru Usman? We didn't see it coming. We didn't see it coming out of nowhere. We put the champ on his back, and of course, Pereira is the new champion within that division.
After a long time.
Yeah, you know, after a long time. And there have been talk about probably Easy is not the most interesting champion. Probably Easy needed to reevaluate the way he goes about approaching his matches and all of that. People don't tag him boring champion of all time, and you know. But some, I think this is like a reality check. And like Okpe said, it's not about how many times you go down. It's how you can come back after you have gone down. There's going to be a rematch, and hopefully I hope he comes back and is able to reclaim his belt.
Yeah, Ken, I mean, the Brazilian is 5th fight in this organization. He was a kickboxer. Same thing with Israel Adesanya, but right now he is the new middleweight champion. I mean, this is, we didn't expect this to happen, especially from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. And then the 5th round, suddenly Israel Adesanya was knocked out. You wouldn't expect him to lose in this division because this is the division he actually boxed. I mean, he owns it.
I have somebody who always watches this fight with me.
Okay.
You know,
Sammy's right here.
Not this fight, but all fights. When it is 4 a.m., when it is 2 a.m., I know he'll be there. You ask me, it is happening now. You understand? The guy is there. I want to seek my chance to him. You understand?
Okay.
Because, you know, if it's possible, we can go to Port Harcourt, CC, and maybe I think Sammy should be ready to join us.
Okay, if Sammy Wejian is here, he's joining us from Port Harcourt to talk about Israel Adesanya. And the reason he lost, I believe he stayed late to also watch this bout because everyone really wanted to see what Israel could do with someone, you know, they were together during the kickboxing. I mean, both of them, you know, they had a good time at that time. But right now, this is the middleweight. This is the UFC 281. At the end of the day, it was all about Pereira on the night, a new middleweight champion. Sammy, good afternoon. Okay, can you unmute yourself? Okay.
My apologies there. Can you hear me now? Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, loud and clear. So go on. I mean, Israel Adesanya losing. It's more like what happened to Kamaru Usman. I don't know if this is looking like a trend. I mean, first we have Anthony Joshua, then we have Kamaru Usman, and now we are having Israel Adesanya. I mean, he was pumped up going into this fight. He even started speaking Yoruba, you know, during his press conference, and that was how happy and confident he was going into this bout. He almost had it, but somehow that 5th round, that knockout, that sucker punch happened, and then we have a new champion, Pereira of Brazil.
Which match, John?
Yeah, you're right when you say it is a trend in terms of the defeats. Yeah. Anthony Joshua lost to Alexander Usyk. Leon Edwards, against all expectations, defeated Kamaru Usman. And in the early hours of this morning, Pereira again got the better of the style bender, Easy, Israel Adesanya. But I'll say they are slightly different situations. I'll explain. I think Alexander Usyk was too smart, too quick for Anthony Joshua, and my opinion is that if those two men fight 100 times, I think Usyk wins 100 times. And I also think that Leon Edwards got extremely lucky, while there was a case of one mistake from Kamaru Usman in the fight between the duo, because I think Kamaru Usman had that fight in his pocket, but then he wanted to go for the spectacular, he wanted to go for the knockout. He let his guard down, and that was that fantastic finish from Leon Edwards. I think Kamaru Usman wins the rematch wherever that one takes place. But then for Israel Adesanya, I think it's a completely different situation, because the record of Israel Adesanya in the UFC stood at just one defeat after over 20 fights, almost 30 fights. 23. And the only time he lost easy was when he left his weight division. Yeah. And, you know, that was understandable. But in his habitat, so to speak, in his natural weight division, he had never lost. However, this isn't the first time he's fighting against the Brazilian Pereira. The first time they fought wasn't in the UFC. They actually fought as kickboxers. And that time, the Brazilian had the number of our Nigerian New Zealand brother. He beat him quite convincingly. It was a straight knockout. So this was like a fight of redemption for Israel Adesanya. And for those who saw the fight, you agree with me that there was a huge disparity in the sizes of both men. The Brazilian was obviously bigger than Kamaru Usman. Yes, Kamaru Usman did have some, Israel Adesanya did have some joy, joined the fight, but I always felt that the Brazilian Pereira was stronger physically than Kamaru Usman. That Israel Adesanya, forgive me for mixing it up. Yeah. That fifth round was, and when Israel Adesanya was boxed to a corner, I think the referee did the right thing, stepping in at that point in time, because if he didn't, it would have actually gotten very, very ugly for Israel Adesanya. Now, very quickly, just to round up on this, like I mentioned, Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, before this morning, had only lost one fight, and he lost to a man who was physically bigger than him. So we've seen that there's a trend with Israel Adesanya. When he fights against bigger men, he seems to have that problem. And that's why I'll make a very bold prediction, that if Israel Adesanya fights 100 times against Pereira, I'm sorry to say this, he's going to lose every single time. Yes, he had his moments, but when you get into the deep waters against a man who is bigger than you, it's happened in the past. The only two fights that Israel Adesanya lost, he lost to individuals who were better than him. He's a very technically astute fighter, very technical fella. But then, this is the UFC. Sometimes you go up against very physically imposing men, and you come up with the short end of the stick. And I think that's unfortunately what played out this morning.
Okay, now, is there, with what you've just said, anytime he's up against an opponent bigger than him, he tends to lose. Twice now we've seen that. So rematch, as you said, he's going to lose again. So what should he do? I mean, put up some pounds, or what's the situation right now? Because technically he's well gifted, and Theophilus has mentioned that, yes, people say he's boring, and he actually agreed with that. But I don't agree with it. As long as you're winning, that's what is important. But what should he do right now? Is there a way we can come out of this? Because you can't always, go up against fighters that are like you.
It's a very good question. Now, let me say this. The fact that Sammy Wijian said Israel Adesanya will lose 100 times to Pereira doesn't make it fact. Okay. This is my opinion. I may be wrong. Israel Adesanya could take to the octagon against Pereira next time out and win quite convincingly, because he won some rounds today. Yes. But I'm saying, look, this is a battle of 5 rounds, and it gets to the deep waters. When it's happened in the past that when Israel Adesanya fights against bigger men, he can't knock them out, because you need to be physically imposing to be able to, make an impression by knocking out your opponent. Israel Adesanya has not been able to knock out a bigger man. So most times he goes to the scorecards. Can he take Pereira to the scorecards? I don't think that's going to happen, because...
Okay.
Fight. One of Pereira's trainers said afterwards, when he was being interviewed ringside, he was asked what Pereira asked him to do. His trainer asked him to do in the 5th round, and his trainer said, "Look, you have to go for a knockout against Israel Adesanya." And that's exactly what Pereira did. He went for that knockout, and there was a TKO. Like I mentioned, this is not the first time there's been a stoppage in a fight involving Pereira and Israel Adesanya. And it looks like each time Pereira wants to go for the kill, wants to knock out, he gets it. So Israel Adesanya, technically gifted fighter. You can't. I saw a tweet from Habib Nurmagomedov, who for me is, my opinion, the greatest UFC fighter pound for pound we've ever seen. And he was saying that Israel Adesanya doesn't get the sort of recognition and respect that he deserves. And he said something in the lines of, if Israel Adesanya wins this fight, this one, this was the fight against Pereira, he should be compared to greats like John Jones Jr. But then he ended up with the short end of the stick. And it brings me back to what I said earlier. When Israel Adesanya fights against a man like Pereira, he has to go for the knockout. Can he get the knockout? It's documented. He's not been able to do that. Instead, it is Pereira, because he's physically more imposing, who gets the knockout. So if I were to be in Israel Adesanya's corner, I said to him, look, I don't think you can come up with the longer end of the stick. Sometimes you meet an individual who is your bogeyman, who has your number. No matter what you do, you can't beat those people. It does happen. This is the 2nd time, or the 3rd time, if I'm not mistaken, that Israel Adesanya is losing to Pereira. I think mentally, psychologically, the Brazilian has his number. And closure from me on this particular subject for now is something that Pereira said just before the fight. He said in Brazil, there is a saying that when you are beaten up by someone, you don't ever forget. And he said, look, I've beaten Israel Adesanya in the past. Israel Adesanya will not forget. It's at the back of his mind, and you know what's going to happen. So he was getting into the mind of Israel Adesanya. He felt that he had the number of Israel Adesanya, and he was going to get the knockout. He got a TKO today.
And he got his number. All right, we'll leave it there because we can spend the whole time trying to analyze this fight. I mean, when someone had to come from the jaws of death, so to speak, and then get a victory, it's usually very painful. And hopefully, Israel Adesanya will be able to bounce back from this and get a victory next time, especially in the rematch. I mean, I won't think that because he's a bigger man, he should always he got his number. But I believe that next time, he will try as much as possible to avoid that mistake that he made in that 5th round to get knocked down. We leave that, and quickly, let's go to the CAF Women's Champions League guys in the studio. I mean, Bayelsa Queens, they finished 3rd. I mean, we love what they went to Morocco to do. When Rivers Angels went there, it was just at the group stage. They came back. But Bayelsa Queens, Juliet Sunday, that 70th minute goal was a stunner, and then they beat Samba Queens of Tanzania, who came to the tournament. You actually praise them what they've done so far in the tournament. But some of Bayelsa Queens were stronger, and they finished 3rd. So they went to Morocco, not coming back empty-handed.
Yes, it's like the Golden Bruise is now becoming our birthright. Do you understand?
Oh,
No.
It's their debut. It's their debut. They're making their debut in the CAF Women's Champions League.
Yes, we don't, because the Champions League just came on board.
Can I just enjoy this victory?
No, we have to take this in perspective.
Okay.
Like, this is the 2nd episode. So this is the 2nd edition.
Yes.
But you don't come from the Olympians height of how many AFCON? 9, 10, 11. And
that's different. We're talking about club level. Can we enjoy this victory?
Yes, we can, but we should situate this in proper because we can't do the national team cannot dominate. Remember, while we're having challenges, even the men edition, most of our players were already outside, and that was why we're getting the World Cup qualifiers, which was the premier was more World Cup qualifier than AFCON. But again, look at the South Africans. They've taken over the AFCON, and they are taking over the Champions League. So that is where I'm coming from. They've
just won 1 edition this year.
It starts with 1.
They've been knocking. We've been from trashing, taking people to clean now.
Taking over.
Yeah, no, they've taken over.
Okay.
No, I think what Okweshan says is that when you used to trash someone, all of a sudden the margin begins to reduce. Next thing it goes to shootouts. And then
okay, I understand what you're saying. You mentioned the national team. I get that. And if you check this year, we didn't really have, apart from Monday Gift, who was, according to the coach, say he was forced to take her to Morocco, right? We didn't have home-based players. They were all foreign-based players. So when we used to have home-based players, so you say we were better. So the trend of we having to rely solely on foreign-based players, that's where we're having these issues. And Bayelsa Queens, they are all home-based players. And of course, apart from the 2 players that were drafted from the who plays for under 20, Sebastian Flourish, and also Didion Etim, who came from the under 17 to join. Really, they didn't really do much. But you know, Bayelsa Queens, of course, they are a team. But you look at the South African side, you look at the Mamelodi Sundowns, you have some of them in the national team. You look at the Moroccan side, AS FAR, of course, 8 of them, were in Morocco for the national team.
That's exactly where I'm going.
Okay.
Now, when Tai was signed by AC Milan, and it turned out to be a very wrong signing by them, Paulo Maldini said something that because he was a Nigerian player, they didn't do their background check. Because they assumed, because he being a Nigerian player, he should be very good. They've seen Taribo and the like. So now, what makes our ladies very strong, leaving the league for European League? So if that thing still remains in the league, that means we have a very strong squad. That is what I'm saying. Okay. So we need to actually harness the potentials, put more focus, more attention on this league.
On the league,
because if the league is not strong, the foreign guys, ladies, who want to dominate the national team. But if we have a strong team, what makes them from the local team straight to Europe? So let it remain that way so that we have enough quality in the league. And with that, we'll compete at the highest level.
Okay. I think spot on there. I think I get that. We're just hoping when the league will start. I mean, you know, we don't have the chairperson of the NWFL now. We're waiting what the NFF will do and see when. Give us a date when the league is starting. We're waiting for that. NWFL, usually we know when it starts, when it ends. But right now, after the elections, we are waiting. Aisha Falode is now executive member of Nigerian Football Federation. So please, NFF, yeah, give us a date. We know NPFL is also there. All right, Ken, quickly, just 30 seconds on this one. Bayelsa Queens, I mean, finishing third. Were you surprised by that? I mean, they came so far, bouncing back from losing their first game to finishing third in the CAF Women's Champions League. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay. Thank you. They actually did very well in the second half of that match that they lost, in the semi-final.
Yeah.
But it would have been, an opportunity for them to play Mamelodi Sundowns ladies in the finals, just like what they did, in their group stages, which the match that they lost. So since we saw that resurgence in their play, we did believe that yes, they could do it. The Zambia side also a very, 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 very good side. Just look at the last Pokemon, and then, like you said, the Zambians have formed. Check what they did at the Olympics. So the Zambian female football is up there. So when clubs come from Zambia, just like what was saying, if you see a Brazilian anywhere, just say it's a Brazilian. You don't even need to know his name. You say a Brazilian in that team, you know it's going to do well. That's what Nigerians at a point will terrorize the world. But if you look at the 1994 set of Rashidi Yekini, Daniel Abokachi, Sunday Olise, they were everywhere in almost all the top leagues in the world. Whether it was in Belgium, in England, everywhere, you will see the Nigerian player. So what they did there was, it is encouraging. They are out there now. They can now understand the terrain. I think it was Rivers Angels that went the first time. Yeah. Now they are also there now. Our teams now start getting that experience, and I hope in the nearest future we're now in the podium. I believe that if they are a well motivated side. Okay. Teams from Rivers, teams from Wales. Yes. Yeah, they are very well motivated side. So that is the good news. So calm down. I'm not every time. Look at the
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. We'll celebrate that. We'll take that. So after the break, yeah.
And also celebrate Rivers United. We'll celebrate
them when we come up from this break. We'll also be talking about the Super Eagles and the squad coach Pereira has released that will be facing Portugal. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Sammy is still with us, and of course, let's touch down on the Rivers United. Ken mentioned that while we're congratulating them, they got into the group stage of the CAF Confederations Cup. That's the second tier of the Continental Championship in Africa. Second tier, they were at the top. Yes, they were grouped against defending champions. We understand that, the CAF Champions League. But then they dropped down a 5-0 at home. Away, it ended 1-0. I mean, Sam, just a quick one on Rivers United. The group stage, of course, is closer, which is obviously bigger than what they did with Nasri. Yes, 6-1 on aggregate. Now they are at the group stage. For Rivers United, how far can they go in the CAF Confederations Cup? Can they really become a non-Nigerian team to win this? Because we've seen over the years how successful the MPFL teams have been when it comes to the CAF Confederations Cup.
Okay, let me start this. I'm actually in my bedroom right now, and that's why I'm wearing this. This is an Arsenal tracksuit. I should be wearing my Rivers United tracksuit. So forgive me for that. I'm actually.
We are going to find you.
I'm in my bedroom. I've not left the bed today. So forgive me for that. I should be wearing a Rivers United tracksuit.
The whole world is watching you.
Don't worry. Next time I'm going to wear my Rivers United tracksuit. But on a very serious note, congratulations to a club of my heart. I'll always say, look, I'm a very objective journalist, but when it comes to Rivers United, I don't hide the fact that I'm a die-hard fan of the football club. I'm very happy that Rivers United have qualified for the group stages of the CAF Confederation Cup, and Rivers United are in line to become the first Nigerian club.
Okay, I think we've lost Sammy there, so we'll try and get back to him later on Rivers United. Just a quick one, guys, on Rivers United. I mean, 30 seconds to wrap this up and before we go to Sam. If we have, okay. Fellas.
Well, like you said, it's a good one for Rivers United. It's a good one for Nigeria as a whole. Being able to, it was a thrashing, 5-0, you know, and seeing them in the group stages of the Confederations Cup, I think it's a good one. And hopefully they can go all the way. Yes, they were put up against the defending champions, at least Champions League, and everybody knew that it was going to be a very, very tough one to be able to conquer them. And obviously, coming all the way down here now and then doing what they have done, let's just hope and see how far they can go outside the Confederations Cup.
How far can they go, Ben?
Yes, for the CAF Confederations Club, it has never really been safe that we will not play the finals, but we've always been doing our bit, getting to these semi-finals from the Sunshine Stars and all the like. So if they have the luck of the draw, because we also have to put that into perspective, possibly if they even play on that team at the CAF Champions League last knockout stage, they could have made the group stage, but that should not be an excuse because how many times has the defending champion defended the title, so someone has been knocking them out. But I see them, they will qualify from their group if they have the luck of the draw. They're decent side. All
right, let's see how far they will go. We'll try and see if we can establish contact with Samuel. While we're waiting for that, let's quickly touch down on the Super Eagles, the team that will be facing Portugal. They will be having a friendly. Yes, teams are preparing for the World Cup, so those World Cup teams are playing Nigeria, and of course, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, it's one of them. Let's take a look at the squad for that friendly against Portugal. Yes, Indonesia is back. Some of the players are really back in this one. From the goalkeepers, you have Maduka Okoye, Francis Uzo is also back. Is also there. Adebayo Adele, that's a new one from Israel. He's part of that goalkeepers. Defenders, you have William Troost-Ekong, Olisa Nda, Calvin Bassi, Kevin Akpoguma. Then you have Chidebube Duro, of course, from Rivers United. Tyron Ebo is also there. Bruno Yemachi from Portugal. Bright Osai Samuel is also there. So Yemachi and Bright Osai Samuel happens to be the players that will be making their debut before the Super Eagles. Joseph Aribo is also part of the squad. Alex Siwobi, Wilfred Ndidi, Frank Onyeka, Ogenekaru Etebo. The forwards, you have Moses Simon, Samuel Chukwueze, Ademola Lukman, Terry Murphy, of course, Paul Onuachu, Victor Sime, and Emmanuel Dennis. These are the players for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Ken, just a quick one on this one. I think we've gotten 2 new names that are here now. Yes, teams are preparing for the World Cup, but then Portugal will be playing Nigeria as part of their preparations for the World Cup on the 17th. 23-man list coming from the coach of the Super Eagles, Jose Pereira.
I don't know. We are not going to the World Cup, but
we know.
Somebody said they want to use us as cannon folders. I don't believe that. You look at what has been happening to us since we didn't go to the World Cup. The 2 matches against Ghana, the nil is scoreless draw in Accra and the 1-1 draw in Abuja that sent us out of Qatar 2022. Since then, Nigeria has played 4 friendly matches. We lost to Mexico, we lost to Ecuador, we lost to Algeria, we lost to Costa Rica. It's been 4 losses in a bounce. But I think the good thing in this one is that probably this is what we're having. First time we're having our A team, going for these friendlies. And I expect that on the 17th. Today's 11th, maybe 6 days from. Today is 13th. So that's about 4 days from now. We should be able to. How do I say it? We have the team. We have the team to go there. You talk about the 2 players that are just coming in the making that debut. It is in friendlies like this that you bring players in to show what they can do.
Okay.
Obe and Cook, I remember how Olise and Cook came in. It was against Ethiopia. It was not really friendly, but it was because we had 2 teams in 93 going to 94. One qualifying for the AFCON, while the other one is qualifying for the World Cup. Olise and Rufai came back to that team again. I think that it was against Ethiopia at the National Stadium, and then they showed that the Westerhoff, when the moment Westerhoff saw Olise in that midfield, he said, yes, my problems are settled. This boy is not slow and he can pass the ball. So basically, we'll see what these two new debutants are going to bring into the team, and this opportunity for them. They say you cannot make a better impression that you're the first time that you have the opportunity. That the first impression is the opportunity you have to make it well the first time you meet someone. The first of all that they have. So I expect them to come in there. But the team, like I said, the midfield, the form in which Iwobi has been is a pleasure. For the goalkeeper, so my confidence is a bit shaky. But of course, we did see Ozoho's performance, when in his club against Manchester United in the Europa League.
Yes.
We expect that probably he will carry that form into the national team. I mean, that's the first time in a very long time we saw him, display those superlative prowess that he has. So we expect that probably he will do that also. Right. In the midfield, like I said, I've been watching them. I've been seeing Iwobi has been he's been shining. The most one of those stars that have upped their game, in that Everton team that is not doing well. I think he's one of the shining stars in that particular team. So in the attack, Onuachu is back. Onuachu is bagging in goals. And what can you say about Osimhen? But then the thing you need to see in a team, that is why we have managers. It's not just individual talent, but how you can synergize, how they can have that, that understanding between the players, how you can have that telepathic play, how they can go over there and understand that when you are on the run, who is playing and who is going there. That understanding that we are looking for. But I hope we'll get it friendly. Even if we are not going to Qatar, it should be a consolation if we are not hammered in Lisbon.
Okay, we'll see if we can beat Portugal. Quickly, the guys in the studio, for you, I'll start with you. Osimhen, banging in goals. He scored his 9th goal for Napoli just yesterday. This guy is something else. It's so painful that he's one of the stars that will not be going to the World Cup. Haaland is not going to.
Okay. For a long time, Napoli, they've been knocking, but at the 11th hour, you have Inter Milan, Juventus knocking them. They got all the best of coaches from Sarri, Ancelotti, the Spaniard, Benitez. So they've everything, but it's like the missing puzzle is now Osimhen. And I think it's almost inconceivable that Napoli will win and Osimhen will not score. So the young man is clearly in the form of his life. And Ken said it's unfortunate, or you said that he will be among the stars, not in Qatar. And again, take nothing away from this match. It's a match, a good time for you to go head-to-head against Ronaldo. And again, the Portuguese, they need this match more than win Nigeria because it's like the shadow match against Ghana. This guy has scored against Ghana before Ronaldo, so he want to test himself. And after the last team, the Ghana play competitively in Africa for going to Qatar. So I think it will be a very good match for the Eagles and for guys actually to stake their claim. Then concerning the goalkeepers, Ken said he had no confidence. It's something we've had in the past where we had to go and drag back Peter Rufai. So for this, yes, Uzor was very spectacular against Man, but don't forget that he also gave the assist for that lead goal against Manchester United, because maybe playing from the back through the ball directly to the midfield, the Man U midfielder, and they launched the attack and 1-2, it was a goal. So you should be more disciplined. Even when you are making those saves, you have to be more disciplined.
Yeah, that's what Ederson does for matches. So we've got the goalkeeper Francis Udo, who also can do that.
Echoing what he said about Victor Osimhen, the man is in the form of his life.
Of course.
I remember before the start of the season, or just at the start of the season, we had him on the show, and Ken was talking about a potential transfer to Manchester United. Now, that's how much his stock has risen over the past couple of seasons. And yes, he would not be going to the World Cup, unfortunately, but at the same time, he keeps on banging goals like this. There's a potential that it's going to be a very, very huge transfer on the cards for this young man. And so far, so good. I feel he's the best striker in Italy at the moment. I'm currently ranking up one of the best strikers in the world as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you mentioned Erling Haaland. I won't put that guy on the level of anybody right now in world football. He's in the class of his own entirely. But really, I'm impressed. And then looking at our squad against Portugal, I'm looking at Iwobi. It's rather unfortunate that he's currently playing for Everton right now at a point whereby the team is really, really struggling.
Yeah.
I think the manager is not about it.
So
he should be fired.
Well,
yes,
managers are hired and fired all the time, so I don't think it should be a problem. I remember he threw his jersey into the crowd yesterday, and the person was so disgusted and threw it back. I didn't, I could actually imagine what Yoma was feeling. But right now, I know he's on the uprise. He has picked up form, and hopefully, I really hope he beats Portugal.
Right?
Really
Yeah,
because
same here.
like four losses on the bounce. I mean, it's not really good for morale.
We don't want to see something.
It's not exactly.
We know that would just be like 3 days to the World Cup, so we want to see at least Super Eagles. Yes, we are not going to, but we are beating teams that are going to the World Cup. Yes, talking about the World Cup, countdown to the FIFA World Cup is 7 days to go, and of course, time to talk about the teams that will be going, that are already at the World Cup. And first of all, let's start off with this one, where the World Cup trophy actually arrived in Saudi Arabia. Continues its tour around the globe, build up to the World Cup starting on Sunday. I mean, it's been through 51 countries already, including 51 countries, and including all 32 nations that are taking part at the World Cup. So he couldn't come to Nigeria because we're not there. So David Villa, remember him? He hosted the trophy in 2010 for Spain. So he was the one who actually unveiled the trophy to fans in Riyadh, which was a fantastic one for all the fans who had to come out to see that trophy. Remember, most of the fans will also be staying in Saudi Arabia because of Qatar. You know, how many? Less than 2 million people. So because of proximity,
Dubai is booked up.
It's been full. So someone have to be staying there, you know, flying into Qatar to be able to watch the World Cup. So 7 days to go, we are all eager to see that. But then another team that is not going to the World Cup happens to be the ones that usually design the World Cup. Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup. Again, they wouldn't be there. But then they've lifted the trophies before. But then there's someone who usually designing. They are calling that golden design that was done by Italian artist Silvio Gazzaniga in 1971, beating more than 50 other competitors' designs to get that trophy. We can see that pictures of the trophy, talking about the World Cup trophy, the World Cup trophy that was designed by an Italian artist. I mean, that new trophy was presented to the then West Germany after they beat Netherlands 2-1 in the 1974 finals. But then Gazzaniga is no longer alive now. He died in 2016. But the granddaughter, actually, who's been forefront of this, Giorgio Bertoni, you know, she's the one that has been talking, you know, about this and how they feel. Yes, they've not been able to see they didn't qualify for the World Cup, but then the fact that her father usually designed the trophy is something that she's really proud of. I don't know if you can see pictures coming from the World Cup Italy trophy. That's what I'm talking about right now. We're done with the FIFA trophy tour in Saudi Arabia. So we're talking about the FIFA World Cup trophy. Yes,
I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
When
I'm trying to talk about this.
When will Nigeria lift this?
When would they lift it?
I'm looking at this is a beauty. This is a beauty.
Wait. The country usually that designed this, they are not there. They miss back to back. So
yeah, and don't forget, before this trophy,
it's a beauty.
I'm trying to actually. The reason I brought this up is because so that you guys will not be too upset that Nigeria is not going to. If these guys are not going.
Before this trophy came on board, you had to use Remit Cup. And it was supposed to be won for keeps by either Brazil or Italy when they played the iconic 1970 final.
Yeah.
Because they had 2 wins each. So whoever wins that Mexico 70 was supposed to win that old trophy for keeps. So unfortunately, the Italian lost after a brutal semi-final against the Germans.
Precisely.
Now, for an Italian to now design the new trophy.
Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
So, and it took them like 12 years to actually win this trophy in 1952. So I think just like the French, that almost every innovation comes from the French, the Olympics, the World Cup. I think this is beauty. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It's beauty.
So let's listen to Giorgio Bertoni, you know, talking about this. I mean, I'm just a proud daughter, you know.
Starting to develop the shapes and the way to express this sports icon, he was also thinking how the winner have to use it in front of the camera. And so he was starting a way that they can really keep in the hand and rise like a cup in a ceremony. That was that was a way to express the love for the sport and the trust of the sport.
when you love something so much and you worked so hard to receive it, you just love it. And the trophy comes back, and it's not ruined, it's loved. So it comes here to be like in a beauty farm. We gold plate it again, and we fix like the small scratches on the malachite. We engrave the base with the winning team. But yes, it's a loved trophy, and the love sign are well shown. We are very proud of it. We are, of course, not happy about Italy don't qualify to the FIFA World Cup Championship, but we are very emotional about the final, and I guess we are the only Italians that we will be like crying during the final match, because we will know we'll be on the podium. And yes, I'm still like, ho la pelle d'oca già adesso.
Okay, I hope Nigerians are not so sad right now. I mean, just imagine Italy not going back to back. Yes, they weren't there in Russia, and now Qatar, they're not there. Okay, countries going to the World Cup. We start with Senegal. Sadio Mane included in the Senegalese national team. Now, Ken, we talked about players that are injured that are not going to the World Cup just last week. And we never know that on Wednesday, I mean, Sadio Mane was going to be injured, but yet he's been included in that squad. How important is he to the Senegalese national team? Because, I mean, the stories around, oh, you have to get witch doctor to actually treat this guy because he's the player of the year for Africa, and, of course, Ballon d'Or second. So Sadio Mane happens to be the poster boy of Africa right now. And not having at the World Cup would be like a disaster for almost everyone who really wants Senegal to get at least to the semi-finals. Because they've been to quarterfinals already, so they need to get a step further. And having a big man like this, Sadio Mane, everyone trying to really patch him up. But the good news is he will not be undergoing surgery. So, I mean, they'll just do MRI scan 10 days after and see how fit he will be. But Ken, quickly on this one, I mean, just have 30 seconds to talk about Sadio Mane, because I know you can talk about Sadio Mane for 1 hour.
Sister, you're asking me to talk about Senegal without Sadio Mane. Okay, talk about Brazil without Neymar. Talk about Argentina without Messi. Talk about Portugal without Cristiano Ronaldo. Talk about Croatia without Luka Modric. Talk about the shining star. Talk about the general. Talk about the leader. Talk about the motivator. Talk about the very best that they have. What else do you want me to say about this? Senegal, I'm not saying this at a point they described in 1986. They described Argentina as Maradona and 10 robots. These are not other robots. I mean, but he is the leader of the team. So if you remove him there, you might say we are going to have a Senegal is like a headless chicken going into a fight. He is the head. So they have to use anything they want to use to get him done is allowed. We talk about the witch doctor thing. What is Africa? Why are you talking about witch doctor? When the Chinese use a needle to do acupuncture, does it? I mean, do we not go for it? Everybody with the way they want to say. When you go to church for healings, you get it done. So basically, if the Secretary General of our own car says, we in Senegal, we want to go and use whatever the juju that we have, the food that we have, whatever is African, to bring him there. As long as they have, look at even the son. We talked about son last week. Yeah. They included him. South Korea are crying that without son, there is no South Korea. So that is what it is. He is the star player. So with Senegal, we don't pray that he will be ready to play, to be that team and cause a major upset. At any edition, there is one African team that will cause a major upset in the World Cup, and this one, maybe Senegal will go to the semi-finals.
All right. Quickly, let's take a look at all the teams that are going to the World Cup. We'll start with England. I mean, the controversy was trying to look at those teams that will feel, okay, maybe there are certain players that should be there and the players that were left at England's squad. Let's take a look at that quickly. I mean, you have Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, Aaron Ramsey. These are the goalkeepers. For the defenders, of course, let's go straight to the next one. We happen to be defender Trent Alexander-Arnold, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Ben White are the defenders. With the midfield, Jude Bellingham, Conor Gallagher, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Kevin Phillips, Declan Rice, and forwards Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Marcus Rashford, Kyle Saka, Ryan Sterling, and of course, Callum Wilson. These are the players going to England. Now, funny enough, against Man City yesterday, Ivan Toney was sending a message to Gareth Southgate. Hey, he is not part of the squad, but then he scored 2 goals that allowed Brentford to beat almighty Man City, even with Haaland. I mean, complete squad. Yes, it was the final.
Yeah, you didn't even see it. But they did not beat Manchester City. They beat Manchester City at the Etihad.
So sending the message. Now, there's some players there. I mean, these are some of the players that are going to England. We just saw a few Foden right there. I mean, they were shell-shocked.
It's called a rocket.
John Stones also, they were shell-shocked by what Ivan Toney did. Now, for England squad, I mean, what do you think? Is this... Gareth Southgate said these are the players he's taking to the World Cup. These are the players he trusts to do the job for England.
Yes, but it's also instructive to know that I know 5 managers who were chastised for their selections who went out to win the World Cup.
Okay.
So
are you saying England will win the World Cup?
And since the day Felix Scolari, the mom, went against him for dropping Romario, since that day I said, look, I will always respect the choices of the coaches. So I give it to Guy Southgate. The buck stops with him. But again, you cannot but notice the disdain and arrogance for Italian league. Why Fikayo will not make this team, and a certain Ari, whose delight in scoring own goals will be in this team. Then you look at Tammy Abraham, he has been playing consistently. Yeah. He has been like the decoy for that Roman side. He draws away attention for Zanilo and others, Dybala, to thrive in that Roman side. And I said, okay, the boss talks with Guy Southgate, we wish him the best, but again, you have to explain. Because again, they say, why do we always speak about the players who are not there rather than the players who are there? But when it's so obvious, like this case, I think is an injury. And that was why Tony responded yesterday, here I am. You will remember.
I think there are a little bit of inconsistencies in his selection. For one, I know for a fact, yes, managers tend to trust certain players to get the job done for them. And to a large extent, Harry Maguire was with them in the World Cup in 2018. They played, I think it's a top place match against Belgium where they lost. Harry Maguire also played up to the final against Italy at the Euros. Yes, he trusts Harry Maguire despite the terrible run of form he's been in for Manchester United. But you're picking Calvin Phillips to go to the World Cup. Calvin Phillips only played one game. This season,
52 minutes.
This season, and then there are certain players that want to normally give a chance to.
All right, let's
what they've been able to do this season. But it's so sad that certain players will not be going to the World Cup, like Tom Murray, like you mentioned, and Ivan Toney, who scored 2 goals yesterday.
Okay, so you guys can talk to us and tell us the players you wanted to see, at the World Cup, but then they're missing for their national team. And of course, tell us what you think about what's going to happen in the game between Portugal and Super Eagles of Nigeria. Is it going to be the first win after 4 losses? Well, we'll talk about that after this break, especially the fact that Argentina, when it comes to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, they've never scored at the knockout stage of the World Cup. Will this be the World Cup where they will score? That will get our attention after the break. Okay, so we can take your calls now, so you can call us and tell us the players you wanted to see at the World Cup and their coaches did not pick them for the World Cup squad. Also tell us about what you think was going to happen between Nigeria and Portugal in Lisbon on Thursday night when both will be playing an international friendly. For Portugal, it's for them to prepare for the World Cup proper because you have Ghana in their group. For the Super Eagles, yes, it's a FIFA free window, and of course, they're using the opportunity to blend the team. 2 newcomers are coming into the team, so Coach Jose Pereira is also trying to know his players and know the team as they prepare for more qualifiers for Africa Cup of Nations. Yes, Super Eagles not going to the Nations Cup, but then they've been busy. 4 losses. Can we get our first win after 4 losses? We'll find out on Thursday, but then tell us about that. Arsenal top of the table at Christmas. Can they win the league? Yes, usually teams who are top of the table at Christmas end up winning the league, right? It's more like it. So is this the time for the Gunners to gun down Man City and are chasing them? And also Newcastle, they're in the party. Don't forget them. I think this is the time for them to really, see that trophy. All right, we'll leave that and quickly go to teams going to the World Cup, of course. Brazil. When you look at the Brazilian national team, yes, I mean, when I saw the squad, I felt this is unfair to most countries. You can't have the 2 best goalkeepers in the world in one team. The strikers, I mean, when you look at it, you're asking yourself, I mean, where are these guys coming from? Some countries don't even have one, but Brazilian national team, they have a full squad. Let's take a look at that squad. I mean, what is like, and the players you feel should have been there. We start with the goalkeepers, where you have Alisson, Ederson, yeah, then we're venting. How many people know that? Okay, but then we're venting. But we don't have the 2 best goalkeepers, Man City and Liverpool. They are there for the Brazilian squad. Dani Alves, when it comes to defense, okay, Dani Alves is there. Danilo, Alessandro, Alestalas, Bremer, Elder. You have Eder Militao, Marquinhos, Thiago Silva. That's defense. Dani Alves. Okay.
I think aging defense.
But then come to the midfield.
Thiago at 37.
You come to the midfield. Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, Everton, Fabinho, Fred, Lucas, Paqueta. Then come to the forward. Now this is where the cheat really is. You have Anthony, you have Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, you have Neymar, Pedro, Rafinha, Richarlison, Rodrigo, Vinicius. There is even no space for Firmino, who has scored 6 goals and 5 assists, right, for Liverpool this season. He couldn't even make it into this Brazilian World Cup squad. For me, I mean, this squad outside the aging defense, when you have these guys running up front, you have to be careful.
I think Paulo Maldini said it best when he said, strikers win you matches. He said, but defenders win you championships. I'm looking at the attack. Yes. It's a fantastic attack. Anybody that has Neymar, Vini Jr., Rodrigo, Richarlison, and all of these guys, they are super impressive. Yeah. But you're looking at their back line. Barring the goalkeepers, let's not forget, they have the 2 best goalkeepers in the league, but only one of them can start. Only one of them is going to start. And you look at their defenders, and you begin to ask yourself, okay, I think...
Okay, let's quickly take Chima calling from Nasarawa. Chima, good afternoon. How are you doing? Okay, yeah, I think we've lost Chima there. Sorry, we didn't take that on time. Oh, okay, you were trying to establish something.
When you look at their defense, look at the guys at the back line, barring Eder Militao, who is the starter for Real Madrid, I'm looking at Marquinhos. He's not really been convincing at PSG. I'm looking at Thiago Silva. I saw him yesterday.
He saved Chelsea a lot of times.
Well, yes,
but when it gets to that level,
at the World Cup, you see some players coming at you.
Because do they have options in that defense line? Do Brazilians, do they really have options if they're not picking the likes of Thiago Silva, Marquinhos that you guys talked about?
That is what they talk about, loyalty to certain players.
Exactly.
And that what cost Joachim Löw his job. He was too loyal to certain players, and it cost him his job in after Russia 2020. So, again, we're all humans. Managers will always be loyal to trusting of certain players, but again, we have to divorce emotions from our head and heart. And I think that is the problem the Brazilians should be having at this World Cup. That back line, if they go against a very fast, if they go against the French, I don't see the Brazilians surviving the French national team, or even the Germans. Germany, my take for the World Cup is the Dutch team, but if the Brazilian goes head-to-head against the French or against the German, we'll have a repeat of that 7-1 trashing in America.
Exactly. I want to look at, that French team, for instance. Just look at their front line alone. If I'm looking, I'm picturing a forward line of Mbappe, Karim Benzema, or Olivier Giroud, and of course Dembele, coming up against this Brazilian defense. Cecilia, they're Shopkin.
Okay. Ken, a quick one on this one. The Brazilian national team, yes, we have most of the fantastic strikers and goalkeepers, but there are also midfield. Yes, you can also give it to them in the midfield. But defense, that's what these guys are saying. Defenders, of course, defense will obviously win you championship. But then, of course, strikers will win you just a game. So, from the analysis right here in the studio, it seems Brazil may not even make it past the quarterfinal stage. I'm not the one, but from the analysis right here in the studio, Theophilus and Bayemi.
That is our job now, is to analyze. When punditry is different from the real thing. When you go back, that's where you find out that yes. Attack, they say, is the best form of defense. So if attack is the best form of defense, tell me when you are busy trying to contain these players, what you are going to, what we are thinking about, whatever. The defenders are there, like when talking about loyalty. Yes, you pick the players that have been delivering for you, players who understand themselves. They have an understanding. Some of us forget how the Italians, conquered the world with their aging difference. You look at Maldini, you look at this guy before him, how many years they lasted. I think they are just like a vintage wine. They get better with age. So with that, if you have the two best goalkeepers in the world, if you have you talk about Thiago Silva. I think the last match before this that they played, even it was Thiago Silva that stood up like a Trojan horse, right there, like a Trojan in the defense of Chelsea. So anybody's counting. If you count Brazil out of this World Cup, they are doing that at your own peril. The world is looking at Argentina solely because of one man, Messi, to say, look, you need this thing to crown your greatness. And then, of course, he's also there with his partner in crime, who is Cristiano Ronaldo. Look, either of them will not win the World Cup. But if both of them do not win this, then that slot for greatness will not be in question. So, there is also some startling statistics I discussed that these guys have not scored any goals at all at the knockout stages. They only score at both Messi and Ronaldo. The 6 goals they scored, they've done those ones just at the group stages of the World Cup. So we are looking at all that and see what is going to happen. But if you rule Brazil out with this attack that they have, okay, now, all they have to do is not to out-defend you, but to outscore you, and then they're going to pick it up.
Okay, we'll see what they can do. World Cup starts next Sunday. All right, let's take a look at another team that have specific omissions, the Spanish national team. Yes, you also have another coach who is loyal to the players he feels that can win games for him. Luis Enrique, the Spanish national team. Una Simon, part of the goalkeepers. Robert Sanchez and David Raya. These are the goalkeepers. No David De Gea, yes, I mean, he's been coming. For the defenders, you have Danny Cavaya, Cesar Azpilicueta, Eric Garcia, Hugo Guillermo, Pau Torres, Emerick Laporte, Jody Abad, Jose Gaya. Midfielders, you have Sergio Busquets, Rodri, Gavi, Pedri, Calesela, Koke, Marcos Llorente, and of course forwards, Alvaro Morata, Ferran Torres, Pablo Sabella, Dani Olmo, Nico Williams, Teremi Pino, Marcos Asensio, and of course Ansu Fati. I mean, these are the players for the Spanish team. Anyone here you feel doesn't deserve a place, and who is supposed to be in his place? I mean, looking at the Spanish squad.
I think for me, Kepa is a no-no.
Of course, Kepa is not here, so...
You look at his confidence level after he donated the archery to Ronaldo in Russia. But again, I think they have a balanced squad. The only difference...
This is how many years? 4 years after? Come on, more than 4 years, I mean.
Yes. Zico said something about confidence level. He said, look, the day they played the Italians in '82, that they could have scored 5, but the Italians would have scored 6.
Okay.
Like, it was just the day the Italian did. Now, the Spaniard team, I think, is a good thing on paper, in reality. But again, the confidence level is the problem, because when Barcelona, for 2 seasons, dropping to the Europa League, that affects your confidence, because that means for 2 seasons you'll not be testing yourself against the very best in club football. Now, again, you have the successful Madrid players to actually benchmark, but again, Luis Enrique is one of those few players who play for Madrid and Barcelona. But again, his loyalty is not tinted towards Barcelona, which is where the problem is coming from. Because there are this allegation again that it favors Barcelona players.
I think that's easy, because if you really want to look at the Madrid squad, how many Spanish players are actually in Madrid's first 11?
David Carvalho of this was
I think just Danny Carvalho, not really. But where I have a problem with Enrique is, before this final list, he released the 55-man list.
Yes.
And there were 5 goalkeepers in that list, and you cannot tell me that there are 5 goalkeepers in Spain that are better than David De Gea. That he doesn't make the top 5 goalkeepers. I think
that's for him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it still boils down to what Quest said. Probably, I don't know what the issue is, and then
because he questioned him when he was a meeting.
So probably that might have been the reason. But I don't really see this Spanish team competing. Yes, there's Gavi, yes, there's Pedri, but I think they're still too young to compete.
Okay, let's quickly talk to Komolafe calling us from Ibafor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Komolafe from Ogun State.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really, Ken, first of all, I want to greet Ken from being in London now. That is number one. You can't drop a pen now. You can't drop a pen that somebody drops after you. You can't drop a pen. And secondly, about this Brazilian team, this squad, I'm always fear of this. Are you hearing me?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm listening.
Yeah, because this squad, I really fear a good team, a good Liverpool players. I want to tell you, they have more.
Hello? Okay, I think we'll
It doesn't want me to drop my pen, so.
Yeah, that's why. And of course, you're going to drop it at the end of the show. Okay, go on quickly. Just wrap this up.
For the Spanish team, I feel a number of the players, he trusts them to deliver for him. I watched them play at the Euros. They're knocked out by eventual winners, Italy. But I really don't think those guys have come of age. Probably by the next World Cup, we will see them. And they are lacking seriously in attack. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, I'm looking at Alvaro Morata, Ferran Torres, and Sufati. These guys have not really been impressive, if you ask me. Another clear omission was Sergio Ramos. If Thiago Silva can make it to the World Cup,
No, they are not playing for the same country.
No, I'm just saying.
We criticize the inclusion of Silva.
I'm looking at that Spanish setup. I'm looking at the defenders.
Yeah, you're talking of experience. That's what you're looking at. There's no experience at the back.
Cesar Azpilicueta, as far as I'm concerned, shouldn't be playing for a top club right now. Probably Valencia or Sevilla. No, it's my own personal opinion.
But I don't have any.
The only experienced defender, centre back in that Spanish team is Laporte. He's about the only one. Eric Garcia, that guy is a disaster waiting to happen. Literally a time bomb. I think Sergio Ramos should be in this team, but for whatever Luis Enrique is smoking, I think he got to his head.
Yeah, okay. Can quickly wrap this up for us. Sergio Ramos, he said he should have been included in the Spanish squad, especially with the defense where they don't really have much of experience. Do you share his opinion?
I totally agree. I watched a clip, I think was it yesterday or so, where Roberto Carlos was talking to Dani Alves. And he said, you are coming to inspire this team. Brazilian success depends on you. So if you are talking about Dani Alves, if you are talking about a Silva, we are also talking about Sergio Ramos. He is the spirit is there, the experience is there, and I think it is not the kind of taking Mujah Depoju to the World Cup. Sometimes these are guys that are actually there, and I believe that he should have been part of that team. Yeah.
Okay. He should have been part of it. So Luis Enrique will see how successful it will be with the squad. He trusts them so much, and that's why he's sticking with this crop of players in Qatar. Izu is calling us from Abuja. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Happy Sunday to you guys in the studio.
Thank you. Sunday.
Yeah, it has been an interesting show so far, and very exciting right from the beginning. UFC, not just football, UFC, basketball, and everything. It has been very enriching. But I will just stick to the World Cup analysis that you guys are doing. There are a few squads that have challenges with, and one of them is Brazil. I don't know what Firmino must have done to the coach. Of all the strikers that he has picked, none of them have outscored Firmino, especially those from England. Whether it is Martinelli, whoever is, or Richarlison, Firmino has outscored them. If just on goals, talk of goals plus assists, Firmino is on top. So I think Firmino should be in that squad. And Firmino is not even a troublemaker. He's 30, he has experience, and so he can provide guidance. If you won't bench him, he won't argue. He's not a troublemaker that should have left out. And then for Spain, I think the coach will regret leaving out these three players. David De Gea, Sergio Ramos in defense, and David De Gea, we already know, yes, he had a slump in form, very bad. Okay. But I think in all fairness to him, he has recovered. He has recovered to the David De Gea that we knew before. Now, the defense that has been picked is a baby defense. Baby defense both in age and in physique. They will be outmuzzled, out-taught, outmaneuvered by any quality attack line. And that's why you need experienced warriors. Like Sergio Ramos. If he wants physicality, he has it. If it requires bullying other people, imagine somebody like Nima coming against Ramos. They already know themselves. You cannot. What tactic are you going to bring to Ramos? But look at the baby boys they have, the Eric Garcia and who are not even, if them Garcia that played back out of Champions League to Europa League now, that the ones are now taking to the biggest stage of it all. And then for England, I think they have made so many. There is no business why the coach should leave out trusted performance. You are bringing Calvin Phillips, who has only played, I think, 56 minutes to the World Cup, when you know there will be no friendlies in between. So he will be match trusted. He will not be fit. And that's already a challenge. And now they still have not solved their Hurricane problem. Because of everybody they have picked, the day Hurricane picks an injury or loses form, there will be problems.
All right. Isu, thank you so much for calling us. We got your analysis. I mean, you mentioned troublemaker. Okay. I think the Brazilian team. All right, guys, we have to leave the studio right now. Arsenal stay top at Christmas. Yes, I'm happy with that. Okay, I mean, thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, Cecilia, thank you. And again, my condolences to my good friend, the most exciting teenage winger I've ever seen played football, Ejike Omeje, lost his life on Tuesday, was also be the House of Rep candidate for APC in Enugu State. God bless you so. My heart with the family.
Mr. Rest in peace. Ken, thank you so much for joining us from London. Are you going to drop your pen? We're going out of the studio.
Yes, just for Olaf, it is 7 days till Christmas. I dropped my pen where we go to Qatar 2022. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a great day.